Hello, Chicago. Welcome on in to Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sport. Glad to be back with you after a couple of weeks off. We have got a lot to go through on the show here tonight. The Bears were busy when the NFL's legal tampering period, free agency period, whichever you want to call it, officially opened last week, Monday, adding some big-name players, but also getting some guys in trades. They certainly have not been afraid to tackle the offensive line issue. We will be discussing that. The brackets were released last night. We've got one local school involved in the men's tournament. We will be discussing Illinois. Will Brad Underwood's boys be able to make it a lengthy tournament run? Will there be any chance that there will be a Final Four appearance in the future for the program? We will be discussing that. We've got a little bit of hockey to discuss. Red Stars Football Club Soccer kicked things off this past weekend. We got some thoughts on that. The Bulls having some very rude guests burning up their stuff. We'll talk about that. And the Cubs officially have opening day in less than 12 hours. Lots to get to on the show here tonight. We've got it all lined up and all prepped for you. Buckle it on up. Let's have some fun, everybody. Let's go. And once again, hello and good evening, everyone. I am your host, Adam Karnick. Glad to be back with you. Sorry, we missed last week. I missed you guys last week. Sorry, I had some family situation that just needed a little bit of attention, but all is well, all is good. So glad to be back with you. Glad to be back with you doing the show. Thanks for everybody that reached out, by the way. Appreciate that. All is well there on that front. So just keeping an eye on everything. That's the big thing right now. So lots to get to on the show here tonight. We are going to be going in a lot of different directions on the show tonight. We're going to be starting things off with football. We're going to be starting things off with the Bears. Then we're going to be talking college basketball with Illinois. We are going to be getting into women's soccer, NWSL with Red Stars Football Club. We're going to be getting into some hockey. We're going to be getting into some baseball. Lots of stuff on the program here tonight. But before we do anything, of course, we have to have a quick word from our sponsors. So don't you go anywhere. Right after this, we'll be kicking things off with the Bears and their marvelous off season. That coming up next on Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back on into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Adam Karnick back with you here, getting caught up on everything going on in the world of sports. Lot to get to, lot to go over tonight on the show. Thank you to each one of our sponsors there, Planet Jerky, Vital Apparel, Seal the Deal Wax Seals, and also we want to thank Raw Nutrition Supplements. Go to getrawnutrition.com to place your orders there. You can also use the promo code IESR for 10% off of your order. We thank each and every one of those sponsors. You can follow along with this show. We are available on Twitter at IESRC is how you follow along with this show, or you can follow along with me personally. I am at Adam _Karnick. And for everybody who is watching the show live across YouTube or Twitter, or we are streaming live on Twitch tonight, welcome on into the show. I appreciate everybody being there. Drop us a comment, drop us a line. Let us know that you're watching. Hello, Taryn Rodriguez. Good evening, Adam. Hope we have an amazing show. Going to do our best, Taryn. Thank you. And Brian Francione. Have a great show, Adam. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. Thank you guys for tuning in to the show tonight. I appreciate that. Drop us a line. Let us know that you're watching here on this St. Patrick's Day. I hope everybody's got their green on today, or you're having a green beer, or you took a dip in the green Chicago River, whichever, however you celebrate. I hope you got the chance to do so, and relatively safely, whatever that means for you. So happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. So it's been a couple of weeks since we've done a show, so we've got a lot to get to. I wanted to start things off with the Bears off season. The last couple of weeks have been incredibly busy, and obviously then the mood around town has been the Bears have won the off season. There we go. I appreciate hearing this from Brian. He just bought himself a Guinness. Very good, sir. Well done. I wish I could be partaking in such things. I do love me a good Guinness. I have not had one in far too long. So enjoy that, Brian. I appreciate it. But the mood around Chicago has been the Bears have won the offseason again. This is now the third consecutive offseason where hope springs eternal, and the optimism surrounding the team seems to be just at an all-time sky high between hiring Ben Johnson as the head coach and then the moves that they have made. And it has been a very busy and active time for the Bears. I will give them this. Johnson and Poles identified and targeted that the offensive line and the defensive line to a lesser extent, but that the offensive line was a major concern and a major problem a season ago. And they have not just sat back idly to fix that problem, that they are actively doing things about it. Give them props for that. Trade for Jonah Jackson, trade for Joe Thuney. You get Drew Dahlman in free agency the second the legal tampering period opens, making him the second highest paid center in the NFL this season. I like the moves. I like the moves on the offensive line. We'll get to the defensive line ones as well, but I like the move. Now the Jackson and Thuney trades, basically within, what were they, 14 or 15 hours of each other a couple weeks ago. I liked each of those moves individually. In a vacuum, I liked those moves. Piecing them together at the time, I actually was very skeptical about them. I put on Twitter right after the Bears announced the trade for Thuney with Kansas City. I said, well, then why did you trade for Jackson yesterday? And my concern with it was both guys have primarily been left guards throughout their careers. Thuney's been an outstanding left guard. Jackson has been a little bit more up and down. His time in Detroit was excellent, earned him a payday with the Rams, and then last season had a terrible first impression with the Los Angeles Rams, and basically between injuries and played his way out of Los Angeles. The Rams were ready to move on from him after just one season for a 6th round pick. You know, the pick that the Bears had gotten from Pittsburgh for Justin Fields turns into an offensive lineman to protect Caleb Williams. So my concern at first was you are absolutely 100% by default going to make one of these two guys play out of position. And I was worried about that. We did then hear, once the moves became official last week, Wednesday, and we officially had the start of the NFL league year, and they could make everything legal and you could actually have the players come forward and talk with media and be presented. I did like that Jackson talked about how actually the first position he played in the NFL was right guard, and he's very comfortable playing right guard. That takes care of that issue for me. That was absolutely a concern for me. Was, it sounds really easy to say, oh, well, you just have Jackson go play on the right side. It'll be fine. It's the same position. It is and it isn't. Yes, it's still playing guard. It's still playing interior, but you have to do everything backwards. And incredibly colorful description from a former Bears offensive lineman. I'll let you look it up on your own to see what it was. But for some people, it's really easy. For other people, it's not, to just flip sides like that, to play the mirror side. So Jackson saying that he's on board with it and he's absolutely comfortable doing it, that relieves things on my end, makes me feel better about it. And then the fact that Grady Jackson became available from the Falcons and you could get a legitimate, honest to goodness 3-technique defensive tackle. I love that move. I love that move from the Bears. Gervon Dexter started very well last season for the Bears when he was in the 3-technique. He got off to a very good start to the season, but he faded as the year went on. You're now getting somebody that has done this at a very high level, at a very consistent pace too, and has been healthy and durable and reliable throughout his NFL career. It's a great signing. It's a great move. It's very needed. IE Sports Radio checking in on me over on the Twitch stream. Hey, hello. Glad. Hi, boss. Thanks, Larry, for checking in on me, making sure that I'm doing okay. Thank you. Actually, I'm not sure who is running the Twitch stream today. But every move that the Bears have made in the offseason, been very defensible, has made a lot of sense. Is it going to be enough? I don't know. And here's really where it gets interesting with that of, well, have they done enough? They've got to be a better team. And you're right. When you compare the Bears roster now to the Bears roster at the end of last season, absolutely, on paper, they look better. Will that translate to more wins? I don't know. And here's why. It's not like the other 31 teams have just been sitting around twiddling their thumbs while the Bears have been making these moves. The Minnesota Vikings have been just as busy, if not busier, than the Bears have been this offseason. So they may not even have made the most improvements in their own division, let alone in their own conference. So will this equate to more wins this season? We certainly hope so. You would certainly think so. But like everything else in the NFL, you've got to wait and see. It gets settled on the field. One thing we can discuss about a little bit and look at a little bit more clearly now that they've made all these moves, what are they going to do in the draft? They still have the 10th overall pick in this draft. There's a lot of ways they could get, there's a lot of directions they could head now. The most glaring and obvious needs for this team this offseason were the interior of the offensive line and the defensive line, basically every position except for Montez Sweat. You could argue could stand to be addressed. Andrew Billings, he played very well, but he's coming off of an injury. How will he be at nose tackle now coming back? Gervon Dexter showed improvement last year, but is he really a 3 technique? Well, now you got Grady Jackson, so it doesn't really matter. Gervon Dexter can be a second fiddle 3 technique, and that'll work great. He can fit into a better spot. You've got Odia Hedbu from the Colts now to try and fill in another. Good evening, Larry, checking in. Hi there. You've got another pass rusher on the other side there. That was another issue. So it really becomes now we're going to get into the beer discussion on this show. Oh, we got multiple Guinness lovers. I haven't had a Guinness in too long. I need to rectify that situation. You would think St. Patrick's Day would be the perfect day to do that. What other options you got there, guys? Keep them coming. I love that discussion. But now your most glaring and obvious needs at 10 are taken care of via free agency. It really does feel now at this moment like they could go in any direction. They really could go anywhere at 10 at this point. That they could go offensive line, defensive line, tight end, Ashton Genty at running back. Running back becomes a viable target and something that wouldn't be ridiculous if they decided to address. Certainly less ridiculous than it was just a couple of weeks ago before they'd made these moves. We'll dive into this in the coming weeks and we'll get some more clarity here in the coming weeks. For right now, I would still argue that offensive line makes the most sense. I would, if you get somebody like a Will Campbell who maybe he falls because of his arm length issues, boy, that would be I would have zero problem taking Will Campbell if he is available there at 10. Larry having some fun. Yeah, the Chicago River turned green today. Actually, the river actually got changed over the weekend, and we did have somebody go jumping in for a swim when it was all said and done. But that is always one of the cool things when the river gets turned green. Though it does always it does always remind me of the line in the movie The Fugitive, where the cops are roaming around on St. Patrick's Day, and one of them, very smart alecky, comments, if they dye it green for today, why can't they dye it blue the other 364 days out of the year? Brian checking in that, yeah, the division, yes, the Vikings have done a lot to improve in this offseason as well. So for the Bears, have you done enough to keep up? Larry referencing we did a very impromptu mock draft at on the station yesterday. Kelvin Banks was available at 10. If Kelvin Banks is available there at 10 for the Bears, I would absolutely jump on it, even though they did so much to address the offensive line in free agency, and seemingly they still like Braxton Jones. Braxton Jones, he's a little bit polarizing. He is, on the one hand, he's for where he was drafted and where he was coming from when he got drafted, they got amazing value. For a 5th round pick out of the Big Sun Conference, Braxton Jones has been an incredible find. On the flip side, though, as a starting left tackle in the NFL, he's been fine. He's been serviceable. He's been a kind of a guy where you could do a lot worse, but you could also do a lot better. So I can absolutely see left tackle being on the board still at 10. The one thing that I was really thinking as I was getting ready for tonight, one thing that wouldn't surprise me, honestly, would be a trade up. That if somebody, say like an Abdul Carter, slips, I would have no problem with the Bears making a move and going and getting the best pass rusher in what is a very deep pass rushing class, but absolutely going and getting the guy who, when 100% healthy, might be the best pure athlete in this class and is probably the best pass rusher in this class. I wouldn't have a problem with that. I also wouldn't have a problem with them trading down either. So really everything right now is on the board for the Bears. There's a lot of ways that things could go, and there's a lot of positions that you could really see. I will say this, whatever they determine is their biggest remaining weakness, that's what's going to get taken with their 1st round pick. They will then triumph it as, look at that. The best player available happened to be at our biggest position of need. What a great job by us. Every team says that. You do draft for need, but just what that most glaring and obvious need is right now is up for debate. And that's kind of fun because we haven't had that. Brian checking in saying he thinks it could happen that Campbell and Banks could fall if Hunter and Abdul Carter get taken early enough. Yeah, there's scenarios where some guys could slip and fall down to the Bears at 10, and they wind up with just an absolute stud of a player. Could absolutely happen. Oh, and thank you, Taryn. Yeah, I'm glad to be back on the air as well. Thank you, Taryn. I appreciate that. We're going to take for ourselves a quick break, and then on the flip side, we're going to transition and talk hoops. March Madness is upon us. The madness is here. Madness, I say. On the men's side, we had one local school get in. We thought maybe we could get 2 or 3. We got one. So we're going to be talking Illinois hoops on the flip side. This is Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS. The SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy Dentarius Locke.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That gives you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
And welcome back on into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Adam Karnick back with you. Just to give everybody kind of a fair warning, this show may run a little bit longer than the usual hour here tonight, with me missing last week. Lots to get through and dive into, so we may run just a little bit longer than we normally do. I want to also give a quick shout out to everybody that is listening later on in the week as a podcast, whether it's on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. This show is available to you. So thank you guys for listening as well and making this part of your regular week. I really do appreciate it. Talked a lot of Bears in the first segment there. Now let's go a little further south, shall we? Let's go down to Champaign and let's check in with Illinois hoops. They were the lone representative in the men's side of the bracket for March Madness. We thought maybe we'd have the possibility of a couple other schools getting in there. Northwestern, if it had a really strong Big Ten tournament, then maybe the Cats could sneak in. They had a net rating in the low 50s. So you thought maybe if they had a really strong showing down in Indy, they did not. They got bounced in the quarterfinals. Taryn commenting here that Southern California, meanwhile, got three teams, UC San Diego, UCLA, and San Diego State. Yeah, a few better options there. Loyola, you knew that the Ramblers were going to need to win the Atlantic 10. They did get the double bye straight into the quarterfinal of the Atlantic 10 tournament. They did then advance to the semifinal of the Atlantic 10, but I really didn't expect them to go anywhere from there. DePaul was the one in the Big East where I got kind of excited for a little bit there following the Big East tournament. DePaul won a Big East tournament game for the first time, and I genuinely cannot remember how long, and then wound up taking Creighton to double overtime in the quarterfinal round of the Big East tournament. So DePaul, you knew going in that DePaul was going to have to win the Big East to have, that was the only way that DePaul was getting in, was winning the Big East tournament. The Blue Demons came darned close to appearing in the Big East semifinal, where they would have taken on St. John's, and it probably wouldn't have gone well from there. But an 11-point lead with 2 minutes to go in regulation blew that, but then also wound up hitting a jumper at the buzzer in the first overtime to force the second overtime. DePaul made everybody sit up and take notice. made everybody sit up and take notice for sure in that Big East title, in that Big East tournament. But we do then have Illinois. So Illinois makes it in the Midwest region, the 6th seed. They will open up Friday night in Milwaukee. So relatively easy travel for Coach Underwood and the boys to get up there to Milwaukee for the game. They'll find out on Wednesday who they actually play, if it will be Texas or, and I apologize, I've got to look it up. You'd think I would just have everything right in front of me, and here I go trying to do it all off the top of my head, as a lot of times I'm able to do, but not always able to do. Let's get over to that. Let's get over to that Midwest region. They'll be taking on in that first round the winner of Texas and of course, where I go, they don't have it. It's the Texas and Xavier. There we go. Sorry about that. My apologies. The winner of Texas and Xavier. And I actually want to try and play a quick clip. So as some of you may or may not, thank you, Taryn, helping me out in the chat room. There's Xavier. Thank you, Taryn. I appreciate that. Appreciate the assist. And here, actually, let me return the favor. For those of you who may not know, we have an outstanding and excellent basketball show here on IE Sports Radio. They go on. Davidson and Dentarius do a fantastic job every Sunday night, 7:00 Central Time, breaking down everything in the world of basketball. And of course, Sunday night, what a time to be discussing the tournament. And so last night, it was Davidson and Taryn Rodriguez. Actually, Taryn was sitting in and contribute and guesting on the show last night, but they were discussing the tournament, and I actually wanted to play just a quick clip from from something that Taryn brought up with Illinois last night. So give me just a moment. I apologize that I have not been able to, that I won't be able to share it the way I normally do, but we will get this. We will get this shared and play this here for you real fast. This is Taryn Rodriguez last night on Fast Break with Davidson Crooks discussing Illinois and its first round matchup in the Midwest region. So there's Taryn Rodriguez discussing the Illinois side of the bracket in the Midwest tournament. So, Illinois got to pay attention. Illinois got to, Taryn saying he wasn't hearing anything. Well, in case it didn't come through, I apologize. Normally I rip the videos and play them that way. I was hoping that would work. I apologize if it didn't come through. If it didn't come through, I'll just give you a quick recap. With Illinois getting ready to take on either Texas or Xavier, Taryn's argument was that whoever wins that Texas Xavier game has the potential to make a run in the Midwest and bust up some brackets. So Illinois will definitely need to pay attention, do its homework, and be ready to go on whatever happens there in that game, paying attention to the first four. And I know that Illinois is kind of a popular pick to make an early exit because they were so inconsistent during the regular season. They were a squad that didn't shoot the three particularly well, but relied very heavily on the 3-point shot. One thing that will help, and actually Taryn just brought it up in the chat just as I was getting ready to talk about it. Illinois will be a lot closer to full strength in this tournament. They got hit hard by injuries, and then the flu absolutely ran wild through the team at the end of February. So Illinois definitely had a rough go of it the last couple weeks of the regular season, and then into the Big Ten tournament. They were finally getting back into their regular routine, their regular swing of things, and being at full strength. Didn't make it as far in the Big Ten tournament as you would have liked. You know, got bounced out in the quarterfinal round. Would have liked to have seen them make it into the semifinal round and take on Michigan. Instead, Maryland won a game. You know, Maryland won a big game. Maryland played a great game, and Illinois didn't. You know, the Illini, they're still recovering from flu, still recovering from some injuries. Hopefully now they'll be a little bit more rested up. They'll be ready to go, be a heck of a lot closer to full strength. Kentucky, you know, you get past that first opponent on Friday though, and for your efforts, you receive almost certainly Kentucky in the second round, a matchup on paper that certainly looks daunting for Illinois. But let's not forget, Kentucky has made a habit of getting knocked out of this tournament a lot earlier than expected many of the last years. Yes, Coach Calipari is no longer there in Kentucky. Was it him? Was it something else? We're going to find out there in Kentucky. Don't be shocked, I guess would be my advice. Don't be shocked if Illinois would pull off the upset and beat Kentucky and move into the Sweet 16. And if that happens, then hey, well, absolutely. We will keep discussing Illinois hoops next week. We will have some fun with that. All right, we are going to take for ourselves another break, and we have really a big catch-all segment to go to wrap up the show. The Red Stars kicked off their season over the weekend, minus a very important person. We have had Connor Bedard has gotten introduced way too well with the officials in the NHL the last couple games. What's going on there? The United Center apparently is having some very rude guests invade the building. We got to discuss that. And we've got, honest to goodness, baseball that matters here in only a matter of only about 9 hours from now, 9.5 hours from now, we have honest to goodness, it counts baseball. Lots to go through here in the show yet tonight. You are tuned into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this. Hockey fans, I'm Adam Kernick.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the 08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies,
And your one-timers,
you wicked wristas.
and be sure to protect your five-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode.
Hello, sports fans. It's me, your boy Larry B, and I want to walk you through the world of sports. No, not just the mainstream major TV deal type sports, although those are important too. But let me be your guide through your journey of all sports, from college to the pros, the minors, and everything in between. Each week, we are talking sports galore with true diehards just like you, from a hardcore fan's perspective that's sure to quench your thirst around leagues you may know all too well, and some you may even discover here. That's right, sports fans. If you love sports of all kinds, enjoy hearing amazing sports stories, and respect all sports because you know how difficult any of them can be to play or compete in, then this is your show. Join me, your boy Larry B, on the defining moment each week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, and let the sports come to you.
And welcome back in here to Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Adam Karnick back with you here. So we have got quite a bit that we are going to be diving into here in the last segment of the show. Lots that we're going to be discussing, going through. Wanted to start things off. The Chicago Stars FC, they started their season over the weekend. It was not the way you would have liked. They played the defending champion Orlando Pride, the team that had knocked them out of the playoffs the season before. It did not go a whole heck of a lot better this time. The Stars lost 6-0. The big thing in that game, though, was Mallory Swanson expectedly was not there for the team. The star forward, it had been announced back in January that she was going to be stepping away from soccer for a little bit, not really disclosing necessarily a reason. The team has been very quiet on that front, just saying that they consider her week to week for the club, and they will be very excited to have her when she's back. And that's really, as far as we know on that. It's a little concerning, to say the least, for a team that barely qualified, really only made the playoffs a season ago because the field was expanded. You need to have your star players in order to be successful. At the same time, you want Swanson to be 100% when she plays. You don't want somebody being there not at 100%, whether that's physically, whether that's mentally, whether that's emotionally, whatever the situation may be. Anybody that's going to be playing, you need them there at 100%. Absolutely. So hopefully Mallory is able to take care of whatever it is that is troubling her and bothering her, and she gets that taken care of. Meanwhile, her husband, Dansby, is over on the other side of the world getting ready to play a baseball game. The Cubs first pitch in Tokyo, Japan is just a little over 9 hours. Yes, not just a little over 9 hours from now, as I was doing the math in my head. 5:15 tomorrow morning is first pitch, Cubs and Dodgers. So Taryn, since you're in the chat, I got to ask, are you going to be getting up bright and early for first pitch? Taryn is out in Southern California. He covers regularly Southern California, but also all things volleyball for us here at IE Sports Radio. So the Dodgers would definitely be in his neck of the woods. Going to be getting up that bright and early 3:15 first pitch there on the West Coast there for that. I will be fortunate. I kind of get up that early anyway. So for me to get up in time for the Cubs game, I don't have to adjust my schedule too much. I'll be able to catch the Cubs basically as my morning begins and take off with it that way. So I'm kind of looking forward to some early morning baseball going on there. Another couple other quick things before we get out of here and call it a show here tonight. It's gotten weird with Connor Bedard the last couple of games for the Blackhawks. The Blackhawks, they've been struggling. They've been having all kinds of trouble. All this we know. All this we know. It's nothing new. What has become new, though, is that Bedard is getting in a lot of trouble with the officials. Each of the last 2 games for the Blackhawks, both of them losses, both of them out on the West Coast, Bedard has picked up 10-minute game misconduct penalties in each of the last 2 games. Last Thursday night against the Sharks, he picked one up basically for, according to the official, being incredibly disrespectful and being incredibly rude to the refs. And then against the Canucks, Bedard got a 10-minute misconduct penalty, apparently for getting just gang attacked by the Vancouver Canucks. I could not figure out what on earth happened that Bedard was getting a game misconduct penalty in that. He got tripped up and then gang piled by the Canucks, and he wound up getting a game misconduct penalty out of the deal. So something's going on there that they gotta resolve that. On the positive side for the Blackhawks, you did see Artyom Levshinov get called up and recalled from Rockford for the last few games. He spent last week with the club. He is with the club this week. I would expect at this point, he's going to spend the rest of the season with the club. I would think their first round pick from this most recent draft. He's looked good in his first 3 games. He's at times looked like the best defender that the Blackhawks have, which is kind of scary overall, but he did register his first NHL point and assist against Vancouver. As the Hawks get ready to host the Kraken tomorrow night, we'll see if there's better things coming for both Levshinov and Bedard. For the other resident of the United Center, the Bulls had a little bit of a PR problem on their hands while they were the United Center's been getting used for concerts the last couple weeks. So the both teams have been out of towns, And when the Bulls get back to town, their championship banners are no longer hanging from the rafters at United Center, and they won't be for the rest of the season. Apparently, the band Disturbed came to town and had quite the pyrotechnics show in their as part of their show. And if you haven't seen the video, I mean, it's a giant 10 or 12, 15 foot tall spire that has flames working all the way up it. And then it shot flames into the air. Well, apparently either they didn't measure or they didn't take into account the positioning, because the flames were positioned right below the Bulls championship banners, and they managed to catch them on fire and burn them and damage them. So they have been taken, the Bulls championship banners have been taken down and will remain down for the rest of the season while they get repaired. Hopefully they'll be back up in time for next season. Though United Center always has stuff going on during the summer, lots of concerts. And of course they'll be hosting a couple of Chicago Sky games. They'll be hosting a Chicago Sky game against the Fever later, a couple of Fever games this summer. So hopefully they will be repaired for that, but embarrassing all the way around for the Bulls, for the band. Taryn stepped out for a second. Well, the band Disturbed was playing concerts at the United Center, and they had basically a flaming gate, basically that was 12, 15 feet tall, that shot flames out of the top of it for extra effect. And they positioned that below where the banners hang in the rafters of United Center. And the flames that shot up enough that they damaged the banners. So the Bulls championship banners have all been taken down. They all have smoke damage, and they will hopefully be back up in time for next season. And absolutely, Brian, yes, the Bulls are absolutely down with every NBA sickness that you can imagine right now. So that is going to do it for our show here this evening. The big shout out and thank yous to everybody for the show. Of course, all of our sponsors here at IE Sports Radio: Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. Go to planetjerky.net to place your order there. I would highly recommend the volcanic jalapeno. I very much like that one. It's very tasty. Also, Vital Apparel, the brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Go to vitalapparel.com and use our code IESR at checkout to get 15% off of your order. We also want to say thank you to Seal the Deal Wax Seals. Go to iesportsradio.com/Seal the Deal Wax Seals to place your orders there. And also, we want to thank Raw Nutrition Supplements. Go to getrawnutrition.com. Use the promo code IESR at checkout for 10% off of your order there. Thank you to everybody that hung out in the chat room with us tonight. Taryn Rodriguez, Brian Francione. We had a couple of Twitch streamers on there. Larry B, the czar and overlord of all things IE Sports Radio. Thank you. My mom checking in at the last second. Thank you. Thank you to everybody also that listened on to the show later on in the week as a podcast, whether it's on Spreaker or iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever it was. Thank you. Thank you guys. Oh, Taryn, a quick note here. Loyola men's volleyball, their season is still going on. They're getting ready to take on number 7 CUSN and number 17 Ohio State at home this week. Go Ramblers. Hopefully they do well. Next week, a lot of baseball. We're going to react to Cubs opening day against the Dodgers, the 2 games in Tokyo. And then as they get ready for the domestic opener, we will also preview the White Sox regular season as well. And we'll get caught up on Tournament Madness. Until then, everybody have a great week. Enjoy your St. Patrick's Day evening festivities. Make sure you get home safely wherever you are, and we'll see you next week. This is Adam Cuddick for IE Sports Radio. Have a great night, everybody.